All right, Mr. Hollywood, you saw the new system run. What are your thoughts?
It's way smoother.
Yeah.
It's way quieter. Uses way less water.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah. Welcome back to Mine Operator. This is episode 2 of Crush It and Find Out. The equipment is all in place. However, all the electrical, this place is kind of a gear bomb right now. I have to wire the hammer mill. I've already wired the table, and I'm in the process of wiring the dewatering sand screw. I just pulled a 3-strand and a single strand through. Since the motor is 3-phase, I didn't have a 4-stranded insulated wire, so I just ran a 12-gauge insulated extension cord with another 12-gauge wire. I got my 3 colors: black, red, white, and green. I'll tap into this motor here. I'll underground, punch through the wall, and I'll be tapping into a single phase 240 outlet. Open. It's a L14-20. Chad had wired this from our panel to run this furnace. The furnace is dead, so I'm stealing his wiring job. I had to take single phase 240 and turn it into 3-phase using a little frequency drive. These are Fuji's. These are my favorites. I can't afford the Dan Foss ones. Those are kind of like industry standard in the shipping industry where I experienced them, but I'm not paying that, so I'll just buy these. These Fuji Electric are great. You can take single phase and bump it up to 3-phase with up to 3 horsepower. So in other words, I can run a 3 horsepower motor off single phase 240 using one of these things. This is a bigger model. This one's a 15 horse. That's going to run Jason's motor, which is a 15 horse. We got a phase converter that runs the hammer mill. This thing takes single phase and turns it into 3-phase. So there's a clean 3-phase source going to this frequency drive. In hindsight, looking back, we probably should have got the 20 horse. We talked about it, but at the time, our old hammer mill was only a 10 horsepower motor, so we followed the 5 horsepower rule, not knowing we were going to end up with Jason's mill, which is a 15 horse. So we should have just doubled it, right? In proper Jippo fashion, we've copied Jason's setup at his mill site, where he runs the number 1 and number 2 as the top of a toolbox. I didn't have a fancy aluminum tray. That goes into the bucket that catches all the number 3s. So this is kind of like a gang box for us. The number 3s will go in here so we can pull those off, add buckets as we run, and then everything will go through this drain out to the dewatering screw. And then the tailings are all going to run down this pipe here. This is our 4-inch drain. We have chopped and modified this thing so many times over the years that it's in multiple segments. I should just go and get one long giant piece to run through here. But it'll end up terminating here. The overflow from the sand screw, we've elected to choose the high port, so only the finest slimes will go into our desilting tank. Right now we have the Nefco out of circuit. The reason for that is the hammer mill only takes 2 gallons a minute when running, and the water on the table is 10 gallons, so only 12 gallons a minute. That's not enough water volume for the Nefco to properly run. We were running it, I don't know, somewhere in the 20s or 30s, which is really, really low. But it does catch foil gold and fine stuff that makes it off the table. Really, ideally, it's 55 to 60 gallons per minute in this thing. So instead of having to run a secondary pump and all that, right now we're just going to delete it from the system for now and then just get going on our testing. I can tell my electrical's been out of practice. When I was pulling the wire through my conduit, I didn't add enough soap, didn't add enough electrical tape to the fish. So when you're fishing, just use as much electrical tape as you can. When I was about 3 feet from the end, this came loose, so I had to pull it all back and do it twice. So use more tape Use lots of tape. Yep, that'll work. I don't know if this is entertaining to you guys, so I'm just gonna put this together and then back brief you. Alright, this motor is 3-phase, low voltage. So we've got those wires set up. I've got my L1, L2, L3 low voltage wiring set up. So I'll button it up and I'll start on the frequency drive mount. Brand new in the box. That's the smell of Thailand and Japan right there. I love the smell of fresh electrical out of the box in the morning. The sand screw is all wired up to its frequency drive. Single phase 240 to 3-phase 240. Converted. I'll program this thing later. Now it's in a dust enclosed box. It'll just hotbox itself in there in the summertime. Alright, just programmed the frequency drive with all the codes for this thing, for the sand screw. And so I set to 60 Hertz. So when I hit start, it's just going to go right to its start mode in 6 seconds. You can hear it fire up. And we have an operating sand screw. Well, my dust-proof electrical boxes came in, and one of the things we have to put on Jason's system is monitor the amp meter, the amps of the motor, so we don't overfeed and trip the frequency drive. So I'm making a little panel here, a little panel cutout. I spared you the details, but I basically took a men working ahead sign. It was just the right thickness, and I cut it out and got my templates. And I was just about to install my hour meter, and I found out that, well, I got the one that says 115 volts, and I need 240. Onto the frequency drive for the hammer mill. I'm doing the fit up for the conduit. So that way, when we go to hose off, all the dust in this area, all the electrical will not get water in it. So this is the fit up. One of these is inlet for the power, the other one goes to the mill, and then I got some accessories. Also, it's probably a good idea that you do what's called lockout, tagout. I really hated those training programs because they were retarded. But the concept is awesome. If you're the electrician doing the work, you lock your stuff out. So I've locked out the disconnect, and I've locked out the box that powers this thing because I didn't want anybody to touch the electrical when I was gone. So, since I'm the one with the keys, and that disconnect is open and locked, I check my breakers that feed it. They're also off. So I can open up that panel and play with the electrical and run my phase converted 3-phase electrical all the way to my frequency drive up here without getting zapped. This 240 sucks to get zapped by. Tag out. Alright, this is what the inside guts of a phase converter looks like, and somehow this little guy, it's the carcass of a camel spider. I don't know how he got in that box. The fact that he probably crawled through the conduit somehow bothers me even more. So I don't know how he got in there. There's only one way in, and he would have had to go through multiple junction boxes. This is the main feed, so it would have had to go into here, and then into there, and then into this one. I have no idea how it did that. I'm impressed. But you're dead, so you're dumb. while I'm in here, I can check the wraps that I did. I attached each phase with blocks, and then I wrapped the block with a special type of rubber, and then you wrap it again with regular electrical tape. And this is a good opportunity to look in and make sure nothing's rubbing, so you don't get a fault. So I have 3 of the lines to pull out. I have to route new wire, so I'm going to be pulling old wire and routing new wire. This is it. I got the monitoring box, and I got all the conduit run. My lengths are all set, so now I can start pulling on my wires, starting assembling this thing. Then for plus points, if you can guess in the comments what this little donut is for, we'll have to come up with something. But anyways, if you can guess what this little donut is, I'll give you a shout out in the next video for what this thing does. If you're an electrician, you know exactly what it is, but it's required for this system for us to monitor. So there's your hint. All right, the spaghetti monster continues. This is all the wire pulled through the box, and this is going to be my volt amp meter and hour meter. So the wires have all been pulled through. Looks like a spaghetti monster. It's the end of the night. My neighbor's playing rap music. I'm exhausted. We'll continue this in the morning. I have the mill wired up. Unfortunately, there's no cover for this motor, so it's just going to run wild out there. The wiring job is complete. All right, we've begun the testing. I got to level the table. See how this does. Yeah, it's been a little while. I'm still adjusting, but number 1s, number 2s are looking good. The blondes are a little too far this side, but I'm running a lot of concentrates. I'm not running head ore, so I'll have to run some head ore to see. But right now, it's not looking bad. We'll keep adjusting. It's much easier with 2 people. So I got my special guest, Jason, here from Mount Baker Mining and Metals. You know him better than you know me, but he is here to help me dial the system in. I had just completed all the work. The boys helped me get this system installed. I finished the electrical, and now we're going to torture test this thing. And Jason is standing on the oversized classification that we could not run in our last system. So we're going to put it through his system, get his system dialed in, and hopefully see some gold. What do you think, man? You got a system in the desert now. You got one.
I think it's perfect. I think it looks great out there. It's going to do exactly what you want, I think. I'm glad I showed up at just the right time. All the work's done, so I just get to watch and film and show you where the gold is. But I think we shovel this stuff into your hopper and get it up into the hammer mill and hopefully get some gold today.
Do you have any other systems in the Mojave that you know about? I'm sure somebody's bought one out here.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Not that I know of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
This might be the first in the Mojave.
That'd be cool if we were the first, but
Yeah.
But if you're one of my subscribers or Jason's subscribers and you know of another system out in the Mojave, just say yes, there is one, so we know we're not the only one. All right, fingers crossed.
All right, Gary's gonna do it.
Okay, yeah, first I have to undo my lockout tag out, so
Okay.
I jumped the gun. Hold on. Okay, we're really starting this time. All right. We got voltage. We're in amps, in case my amp meter doesn't work. And we're running. Thump. It's on the top case. You might need to trim it. I think the test was fine. There's a little bit of metal on metal inside there, but that's fine. That'll stop. So we are going to load the surge hopper now with this material so we can start our first test. And we're waiting for Mr. Hollywood. Chad was gonna make it, but he ended up getting an issue with his truck, a maintenance issue. So we are missing Chad today. Chad, we're sorry you couldn't make it, bud. We'll get you next time. Here's our test material. It came from the floor. We got Mr. Hollywood sneaking around here. Where'd he go? There he is. Mr. Hollywood is here. Yeah, buddy. Look who I got. Woo-hoo! Mr. Hollywood. All right, we're running now. All right, this wobbles excessively. My amp meter does not work. We're gonna work on the vacuum a little bit here. We're getting dust starting to escape. And my conveyor belt quit working on me, so it's kind of being temperamental right now. Lots of things to fine tune, man. This is a beautiful thing. Cleanup time. There's all kinds of stuff going on. We are all shut down. Little things for me to fix that I was kind of yelling at when the system was running. But this is the thing that is awesome. If you remember from our past videos, our old table, we had a number 1 and a number 2 coming out of the table, and we would have like 3 or 4 buckets from a ton. And we ran probably about 1/4 of a ton. And I have just 2 of these little things for the number 2s as opposed to like 2 buckets. I would have 2 full 5-gallon buckets full of cons. So now I have to us, this is like a super con. So there's our number 2. And then our number 1, full of Merrick's sweat. If you watch some of our older videos, we had a subscriber give us a bunch of his order run. And this is this oversized stuff mixed with stuff that Chad was running. So that's it. 1 and 2. So that's a lot better than our concentrate before.
Nice. There's a little bit of debate we had on the table. We were seeing these pieces of yellow metal come across. Like, oh, look at that gold, look at that gold.
Yeah.
But it wasn't reacting like gold on the table.
No.
It would kind of go down into the long grooves, and it wouldn't quite get up under the water bar like we thought. So we ended up seeing little pieces of yellow wire and little stuff. So we know it's brass contamination. But my heart was kind of fluttering there a little bit when I was like, why is all the gold going in the wrong spot? But, something to be aware of. If you have tramp metal and steel and brass and copper, it'll react a little bit different than gold. So gold, if it's gold, it'll come right up under the water bar and straight down to the number 1.
And then if you watch our videos way in the past, we ran material a long time ago with Mr. Hollywood, Ron, Chad, Conman, and myself, and we ran it from multiple places, and one of them was a mine dump. So all that brass tramp that he was seeing on the table came from the oversized. So I guess there's 3 different ores mixed in this floor that we just tested. So flash from the past, mine dumps suck to run, and we get to figure that out panning. All right, Mr. Hollywood, you saw the new system run. What are your thoughts?
It's way smoother.
Yeah.
It's way quieter. Uses way less water.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah. Way different.
Now let's do the cons.
Let's do the cons. Mr. Hollywood is panning out the number 1s just for us to peek at it and see what's going on with it. While he's doing that, we're going to try to get the hopper loaded for the jaw crusher and light off the jaw crusher. So I didn't really show you the rodeo, but Jason got to ride the bull up top and feed this thing with the giant pieces of quartz. I was in the middle of the room hammering it with a sledgehammer so we could fit it in the jaw crusher. And we have a full hopper, and we will run this material next. All right, we're gonna do a second run with the quartz, and we'll see how we do. I just see a bunch of iron from the hammer mill on the table. All right, it's the next day, and we ran about half of that quartz we crushed, and it wasn't very good, which is okay. That just tells us that the parts of the vein that Chad pulled the quartz from was barren. So that means that Mr. Pocket is only in that one spot. So to the north and south of that spot, there's not a lot of gold in the quartz. So to continue the test, we'll finish crushing the rest of that quartz just to be thorough, and then we'll have a data point. So even though there's no gold in the quartz, it's still valuable to know, like, hey, we know the gold's in one spot. It's not all over the entire vein, so more homework needs to be done on that. So we'll finish running. So these are cons that Chad ran. These are from the number 2 discharge of the Silver Springs table. So I'm going to run this in the system first, and then I'll run the quartz after, because this needs to get reconcentrated, and it looks like it's mostly quartz. And this is not the ideal concentrate, so we'll get another run on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Silver Springs, number 2 on the table. Going all right into the number 1. Sorry, Silver Springs.
Yeah. So we're just finishing up our last run, but I was pointing out to Harry, there's 6 distinct bands. You got a gold band and a white band, which might be galena. Then there's a gray band, a red band, a black band, and a quartz band at the end. So you have 6 different separations across the table.
What's all that? Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, you want to catch that?
Yeah, I do now.
You do now? Tighten yours.
Okay, we are going to take the number 2 concentrate and rerun it on the table. Get a line. Right here is the ongoing result of running the number 2 from yesterday and today. And so there's a little line of fine gold. Hopefully it adds up to grams, but it's not that much. It's ultra fine. But it's going right into the number 1, which is great. So there goes the number 2s. We're going to reconcentrate the number 1s. Alright, final brush down to the table. Get all the goldies into the number 1. We'll pan that out, concentrate it, and we'll see if we can smelt it into some kind of a piece of gold here. There you go. Remember that guy? Right where it should go, right back in the number 1. There it goes.
Nope, don't want to splash it.
That's what that hose is for.
Yeah.
How's that brush work?
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, better.
I'll take over from this. All right, Jason is now panning the number 1s.
I'm mostly trying to get these bigger coarse pieces out of here. I don't want to lose much of the black sand.
Well, I got some classifiers if you want to use them.
Yeah.
Well, I think you like your method.
Yeah,
It's free.
6 to 1. It's free. It's free, and right now.
All right, we have dried out the cons, and we'll smelt this next. Alright, the flux recipe is finished, and we'll go ahead and smelt it, and I believe that is number 6.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's kind of tall and skinny.
Yep.
I like it.
So we'll pour that in there, and we'll get smelted.
What's in possibly sulfides out?
Oh yeah, the sulfides will all go away. So if there's any gold in the sulfides, we'll recover that.
Right.
For
Because
sure.
a couple of those runs, we had a pretty good band of sulfides.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
So Jason tells me that we're gonna let this do its work till it's completely molten and then add iron to it after. We'll get going. We are operational. 18 millimeters is what they told me. I'm gonna start with 1.2 MPa and see how that goes.
I've never been that ring. How do we get that down in there?
Wearing a sweatshirt in the desert.
That 110 grams of cons is probably lead.
Yeah. Okay, we just poured. And the slag looks great. That's exactly what you want to see, right?
Perfect. In every way.
What you didn't get to see was a giant slug of lead come out of the crucible. So there's going to be a big, giant chunk of metal at the bottom of this thing. And then we added iron during the smelt, and it didn't really consume much of it at all. So there you go. We'll let this cool off.
The lead mine was a little bit
Lead
gold.
blob. We're really good at finding lead.
Yeah. There you go. Nice clean button.
Look at that. Perfect separation. Nothing on the slag, no mat.
All right, let's get a weight on it.
It's about as perfect as it could have gone.
And we know if our little 150 gram cupels will handle this.
How are we going to weigh it?
81 grams.
81. We can deal with that.
Yeah, we can do 81. That'll fit.
That's a beautiful button.
Yeah.
It's amazing it doesn't get hot on the outside.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
going.
Cool.
Don't breathe that. All right, so this old furnace is just barely getting above 1750. The target for us would be around 1850, but it'll still go at 1750. So this furnace is kind of tired. I think it's time to retire it. This furnace is a little worn out, so it might be time to retire it and replace it. But it still works. It just takes a long time to get to temperature. Let's check it out. No, it's still going.
Still going.
Still going. It's rainbowing. No, it's got a long way to go.
It's got a little ways to go. That's okay.
It's still molten. Tongs and gloves. Don't spill. My gloves are smoking.
What is happening?
I don't know. I think we have an alloy going on here.
It's not done.
No, it's
I
not.
think you got copper oxide going on in the top there.
Too much copper. Copper bad.
The button looks pretty good though. I mean, it pulled
Yeah.
up real tight.
Yeah, it did. Not like last time.
No, we'll have to let it cool down and see what we got. But it actually looks. No, it's still got junk in it.
Yeah, see, it's turning dark.
Yeah. That's okay. We reduced it way down. You'll have to finish that up.
To be continued.
Yep.
So obviously we did not finish cupelling due to time, but it looks pretty good for almost finished.
Sorry, keep going.
I'm done.
You're done? Okay. All right, here's our little bead. It's not quite there, but it's pretty darn yellow. You have a guess?
2.2.
3.5.
Nice, 3.3.
Not bad.
So I think I finished cupelling that again. I think we'll probably get it down into the low 3 or maybe even high 2s.
Yeah, probably high 2s would be my guess.
It's an ugly little thing. One at a time. First I'll take the button, unrefined button, and cupel it. And then we'll try to finish it in a bone ash cupel after the magnesia. I'm going to try this new technique here. So I'll put those guys together. Well, while we wait for the furnace to heat up, I will scan this button. I believe it was 3.2 when we waited at the mill site, so we'll just call it 3.2 now. Let me scan this thing and see what's in it. This is what's in it. Obviously we did not finish cupelling because we ran out of time. So there's about 20% of junk still in there. Copper, lead, and iron. So 20% of 3.2. Well, we're going to have a little bit less weight obviously at the end of this. So for our gold bead, I'm going to start with 10 grams of bismuth. That's probably too much, but I'm going to do it anyways. And I'll just go in increments until it's blinked over. And then I got some carrot scrap I'm going to run next to it just because the furnace is already hot. There's like 4.5 grams of 14 karat. So we will run both of those in the bismuths and try to get a nice clean button. Alright, it's in there. I got the first one going. And something happened with the other one. I don't know what's going on with that gold jewelry, but our button looks good. It's molten. We'll check back in. All right, getting up to temperature 18. Target is 1850. All right, looks like my button is done. Yeah, button is done, so I'm going to transfer it over to the bone ash and keep going. All right, looks beautiful. Nice little button there. I'll pluck that out of there, cool it, scan it, weigh it, and then I'll put it on the bone ash to kind of get an idea of this new technique that I was told to use. Alright, so we're at 3.1. I probably pulled it out too soon. Probably should have added more bismuth. I scanned it, and we're sitting at I scanned it and we're sitting at now 80% gold, 9% silver, and there's still 6% bismuth. But we got rid of most of the copper. So I probably should have just put more bismuth in there. There was more life in the cupel. However, I pulled it out of the furnace and I don't want it to crack. So I'll go right to the bone ash and then I'll finish it off on that one, and maybe I'll be more patient this time. I think we might be done. They're still molten. Might be a little hot in there. Yeah, they look like they're pretty much done. Here's the carat jewelry. Nice big fat button. And there's the gold in the bone ash. We'll get him plucked out and quench it in water. But the bead sides are pulled up pretty nicely. And hopefully we got it all out. Let's see what we got for a final weight. 3.1. So that's good. 3.16. And the XRF says our final tally is, I got up to 21 carat, so 88 gold, 10% silver, and just a little bit of bismuth contamination in there, but that's pretty good for now. I think I'll have to refine this a little bit more in acid, but I think what I learned was more bismuth in the cupel, the magnesia cupel, than I thought. I started with 10, then I added 5. I should have just gone right to like 20. I asked AI, Grok said I needed to add 40, which I think was too much, but I'm still learning the cupelling method. I've done cupelling a lot, but I never really cared about getting every little bit out. It was just more get most of it out, get a bead, get it to the refiner. And 88's pretty respectable to send to a refiner, so that's awesome. There's the carat gold. There's the carat gold. All right, I've got Charlie from Path of the Bee, and he has a small shaker table, concentrate cleaner. That is the design from Orophilia, and he has brought it all the way from Idaho, correct?
Yes.
All the way from Idaho for us to test. So I'm pretty excited to have this thing in the building. I know Chad's excited to test it. We have some gold cons he's been working on, so we'll get that flowing across the table. And additionally, if you're interested in one of these, check out 24 carats prospecting.com, and these are listed for sale. And then tell me a little bit about the table. Who helped you build it?
So my high school students, I'm a shop teacher, and they were learning aluminum welding, and so I thought this would be an excellent project. I have some really exceptional seniors this year. And I live in a poverty-stricken community, so it's really hard for kids to come up with money to go to college. And a couple of these guys would like to go, and so they're all signed up and going, and now we're buying tools. And so the proceeds from this helps purchase tools for those two young men that have worked really hard on this project.
I heard about that on your video when you were talking about this, how to set it up. All right, you heard him. Go check it out.
And we will turn our amp, so we're at, our balance is at 0 right now. We're going to run it to about 50, because that's pretty good. Frequency, I think, runs good about 5, 5.5. And then our amplitude is 0, so we'll turn the amplitude up and it'll start shaking. How do you want it to go?
There you go. So those are the magic numbers. Got it.
All right.
That's cool. You got everybody's name in there.
Hey, now that was not an easy feat either. I had to call up my brother, who's a chemical engineer, and ask him how to do that.
Yeah, how to program it?
Yep.
Yep, you hacked it.
I hacked it.
All right. We're off to the races with this thing.
Yeah.
Chad provided these concentrates from a spot he's working. I just classified it to -20. And now we're going to go run the undersized on the table. Here we go. test this thing out. Let me get my brush. Brush the table down, make sure there's no bubbles anywhere. Kind of have a dead spot over here on the far left. It's interesting right there. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's good right there. Okay, oh, throw a little bit on here, see what happens. I guess I need a smaller spoon. Alright, the blondes are getting washed. And the sulfides are moving. I see the sulfide line. Well, I better get the spoon in. Alright, so what I learned is the grooves are very, very fine, and this is actually designed for a lot finer material than I put on here, so this -20 stuff is too big. So I'll have to get a finer material to run. The stuff that is fine looks like it's doing good, but the coarse stuff isn't really moving the way I'd like it to. So we're going to try a different material. We got a finer classification now, so we'll attempt this finer classification on the table. Now it's dry, so let me throw some water in this thing, and then I think we got a good solution. We've been adjusting the level to try to get the blondes to go where they're supposed to go into this first port, and then get all the concentrates to go into our primary cons. I guess you call that the number one here. So it's starting to look a lot better. And the material I was using before was too coarse. It wasn't ground properly. But this is some fine material that actually we ran on the Silver Springs table and the B number 2 concentrate. So now we're rerunning it on here, and it's looking like it's doing pretty good now. You can see the quartz is going, and then you get all the heavy sulfides that are staying behind. This particular sulfide is actually mostly hematite, but there is some sulfides in there too, but mostly hematite. So I guess you could call them your black sands. And we're trying to find a speck of gold here. Chad was so good at getting the gold out of the cons, there's not much left to find in the cons. But if I see any little gold rolling in there, I'll show you. A little piece of gold right there. There it goes, popped out. There it goes. That made it into the number one. It made another adjustment on the elevation of the table. So now the blondes all track right where they're supposed to, and then all the heavies are making it right over here. It's a little bit of an adjustment, and once you get the adjustments down, then it starts doing what you want. Alright, this is the final setup, and we have all the heavies running themselves right into the end. And so I'll pan that little tub. I know there's gold. There's not a lot, but I just want to see. The nice thing is none of the blondes, none of the quartz is getting into the primary cons. It's all getting rinsed off the table, so that's nice. It really cuts down the material. All right, got a couple little small specks of gold in there that made it into number 1. I panned that out. The rest of this is all magnetite, no quartz. All right, here's a close-up of the chunky gold. This concentrate was ran on the Silver Springs shaker table, and this was the number 2 cons. And Chad had panned a bunch of it, and so we just ran it on the little table, and this is what went into the number 1. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, we're done testing the table. So thanks, Charlie, for coming out and bringing the table. And then also, he convinced me that I should try this out. So I'm going to also try out this little ball mill that he makes. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, yeah, you're welcome, Harry. We'll see you around.
And your channel is?
Path of the Bee.
Awesome. All right, go check his channel out.